Turn to Dave Weigel's new piece about that race up in Maine, the Senate race. A Democratic candidate there putting the party's interest in younger and fresher candidates through a stress test after his controversial social media comments have surfaced lately, along with images of a tattoo. Nearly 10 years ago on Reddit, Graham Plattner wrote about how as he's gotten older, he's become, quote, a communist. He also made disparaging comments about police and minimized challenges faced by military members in reporting sexual assault. As for that tattoo, Plattner revealed he has a skull and bones similar to what was worn by the SS on his chest. Plattner has apologized, but now appears to be leaning into the controversy. Dave, you got some new reporting on this for Semafor. What can you tell us?
Yes, I talked to Plattner yesterday as this was going on, before he said he'd remove the tattoo, but after he told Pod Save America, he gave them the video and said that people were going to attack him over it. And his argument is that he is a different kind of Democratic candidate, and the Democratic Party will suffer if it tells men, he's 41, men who grew up online, who posted some things that they regret, that they're not allowed in politics ever. Now, that's obviously a convenient thing for him to say as he's confronted with these questions. He has a lot of support among progressives, including Bernie Sanders, who told Semafor yesterday he's sticking with Plattner. A lot of progressives who think there is a double standard here, that their candidates are grilled and asked to explain away things that are not problems for other people, and also sincerely that people born after 1980 are going to run for office with a sketchy online record. That is how he is trying to package everything that he said, that I'm a real person and this shouldn't be a problem. And the reason progressives are a little bit confident, he has the same media teams, some of the same strategists as John Fetterman in 2022, as Zohran Mamdani right now. Both of them dealt with controversies. Mamdani's on debate stages renouncing his old tweets. They think there is a way past this, and they frame it all as, I'm only getting this attention, this criticism, because the establishment doesn't like me. Final thing I'd say about that is there's some Trump envy. That is how Trump and a lot of Republican candidates have gotten through scandals, by saying, yes, I'm not perfect. I'm like you. I've said some things I regret, and that makes me a more authentic, normal person. That has worked for Trump. It has not worked for some Trump-like candidates. They're trying to make it work for him. And a lot of hopes Dave put into Plattner as a different kind of candidate running up in Maine, maybe the kind of candidate Democrats should be finding and highlighting in some of these races, more relatable to actual voters in the state. What is he saying, though, about that tattoo? He was on Pod Save America, the podcast with the former Obama aides, the three guys, and tried to explain and used a quote that you never want to use in a political campaign, quote, I am not a secret Nazi. What's he saying about the tattoo? Yeah, short version, he got this skull tattoo with fellow Marines in Croatia. He was not fully mentally there when he did it. He never removed it. The discrepancy in the last really 24 hours has been, that was his story to Pod Save America. Jewish Insider reported, his story to Pod Save America included, he didn't know about the associations of the symbol. Jewish Insider reported that somebody who knew Plattner a decade ago said he did know the associations. And him now saying that he's going to remove it, that complicates it. It went from something that he was comfortable showing off for a long time and joking about to something that he is ashamed of and going to remove. He had deleted his Reddit account years before entering this race. And that is some of the paradox here. One, he is saying, I made mistakes and that makes me normal. Two, yes, they're terrible mistakes and I'm ashamed of them and need to do something to wipe them out. And again, the reason progressives are saying let's give him a chance here is because this started unfolding right as Janet Mills, the governor of Maine, got into the race with the support of Chuck Schumer. That is how they see this. If it is opposition research, if it is connected at all to the D.C. establishment, no matter what the facts are, it is suspicious. That is how progressives view this. And I've seen very few people in the influential progressive commentary space or the endorsers of Graham Plattner say this is a problem, because they look at Republicans and say how would they do this? They would maybe apologize, they would maybe reframe it, but they would say this is only happening because the establishment doesn't like me. That is the default, and that was interesting here. The Pod Save America was a platform for him to try that out. He tried it. He said it to me too in a different, I think, more intense way. That's what they're going for.
Yeah, Dave, you make a great point about how the circumstances of these revelations are called into question, although some Dems have noted to me this also might point to some insufficient vetting of this potential candidate in the first few weeks of his launch. Although we should note, I mean, you're making a great point also about how Republicans seem to just plow forward. We did just have an example, though, of Paul Ingrassia not being able to do so, in part because the word Nazi is attached. So this would still seem to be a third rail here. But let's take a step back. Talk to us a little bit more about this sort of generational clash, because this Maine is being held up much like the New York City mayor's race, where you have a young Mamdani and an older sort of veteran establishment character in Cuomo. Here you do as well in the Senate race, Mills and Plattner. These races do seem representative of this real struggle the party is going through right now post 2024.
Well, one thing Democrats deal with in particular, Republicans don't, is that they lost so recently. So if you were part of the Democratic political establishment, you don't have a win on the board in the last year to say this is how elections should be. This is what a candidate needs to win. That influences all this. There's also intervention here of the idea that Democrats are too censorious, that Democrats are the party of cancel culture, especially when it comes to white men. And that is something that Plattner is leaning into, that there were nominees for positions in Biden's administration who said things that were controversial, and they got through their nominations. But the party has been losing ground with men in particular. You talked about J.D. Vance and how he was defending some of the group chats. That's situational, too. That's a little convenient who he defends and who he doesn't. But the overall idea that they're sharing is that there are a lot of people who grow up and they say stupid things, and they say them in public now because everything is online. And increasingly, people can find your information even if you delete it. Do we want a society where they're canceled? And do we want a Democratic Party that cancels people and a Republican Party that doesn't? The idea being that men might look, Latino men, black men, white men, might look and say, I don't want to be part of the party that cancels you and gets you out of your job and says you can never rise up in your career if you said something stupid. I might have said something stupid. So that is the overall thing they're going for, and they look at a Democratic Party that is more, again, it's supporting Mills. It is more ready to say that if you made these mistakes, you shouldn't be in public office. It is ambitious, and it is very convenient for Plattner's campaign. But I think it does tap into something that Democrats are worried about. How come men keep drifting us? How much of it is that we're the party that says, take that episode off TV, don't say that, take that joke out of your comedy routine? Some of this is how do we lose Joe Rogan? Oh, it's because Joe Rogan is fine with offensive jokes and we're not. It is a melange of things going on, but that is where Plattner and progressives are taking it.
All right, 7-4's Dave Weigel, thank you very much for your analysis. His latest piece is available to read online right now. And